Cause you know you like that big old dick inside your cootie. What we doing? Baby booty. What we doing? What she doing? Cause she know that I'm the shit. What she doing? Cause she love that hot dick.
What's going on? Welcome to the official LOL podcast, episode 6, your post-championship episode. It's your boy, Frankie Nuñez. And we've got a lot to talk about. Last time we spoke, we had not crowned a champion. Since then, we have. The Poospatuck Smokes have won the Jim Tully Championship Trophy this year in historic fashion, a very, very dominant offense. And we'll get into talking about each team. We'll break it all down for you, what we saw on Saturday. We've also got some guests coming on. We're going to have Nick Gerasi on soon, who just won his third ring. Very excited to talk to him. So we'll be right back. Thanks for joining us, and give me a minute. All right, it's your boy, Frankie Nuñez, back on the official LOL podcast. I'm joined here by newly crowned champion, JJ. JJ, are you happy to be here?
Oh, yeah. I'm psyched. So happy.
JJ, 3 years into your career, you win the championship. The first 2 years, your first year you make it to the championship. The second year you lose in the greatest game ever played. How long has this journey been? How long has the road been? And what does it feel like to finally be on top of it?
Oh, it feels amazing to finally win. I'm excited with the people, the squad I had behind me in the game. Frank has my quarterback. I had Gerasi. I had Jesus, all of them. It was just a great squad all around. First year, who was I on? I was on roadies first year.
You were on roadies both years before this year.
Yeah, I was on both years. And honestly, having Gerasi as a wide receiver with me and Frank as my quarterback, I like that,
Speaking of Nick Gerasi, so this was the third year in a row you guys were teammates. I know he was your quarterback the last 2 years. This year he's a wide receiver. What role has Gerasi played in just being a great teammate and maybe showing you the ways of the league?
Yeah, no, he's been great. He's always complimenting me. He's always helping me out. Even when he was my quarterback, he was picking out those little things, to make me a better player. And being a wide receiver with him this year, it was a different experience, and I loved it.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Coach Dan and what role Coach Dan played in your guys' success this year.
Yeah, no, Coach Dan was a big part. He was always talking to us, coming up with plans along with Frank at the same time. They were both amazing. They brought the whole group together. They were the ones always talking in the group chats and pointing out the plays and shit.
So you have 13 catches this year, 2 receiving touchdowns, and obviously you have the sack of Lorenzo Labazetta in Game 1. But after the game, when we caught up with you, you said it was your worst game. I'm a little curious as to why you thought that. It's such a big stat line.
I just felt like I didn't play as good this year as I did the past 2 years. I don't know. It just felt different. I don't know if it was the weather. I don't know what it was.
Well, maybe it has something to do with Frank Zamisa and spreading it out to everybody. Tell me a little bit about what it was like to play with Frank and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, no, that's very true actually, because playing with the other 2 years, I was getting the ball almost every reception. I guess maybe that was the difference. But yeah, playing with Frank, he uses everyone, and it's the best way to do it because everyone's gonna be. You keep throwing it to me, everyone's just gonna know.
Sure.
And they're just gonna cover me, double cover me, and towards the end of the game, this year for the championship, Jesus was wide open.
Yeah, he was. He was.
He was wide open in the end zone. No one was on him. They were completely lost, and using everyone, it gets everyone lost. Instead of just using one player.
Totally agree. So you now got 8 career touchdowns. That puts you in a tie for 13th all time. But when you look up the people next to you on this list, nobody has played the short amount of years you have. You've got three years in the league, and you're already in 13th place. Everybody around you's got 7 years in the league. How have you had this production? How have you been able to keep it going? And what should we be looking forward to seeing you do in the future?
Honestly, I've just been having great quarterbacks. My quarterbacks are always finding me wide open in the end zone. They make plays. They get me open. and hopefully in a couple of years I'll be up top 5. That's what that's what I want to be. Top 5, top 3.
There's no question. You definitely will be. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Josh Paini. You guys came into the league together. I know he's a close friend of yours. Do you guys train together, and what role has he played in your success in the league?
Me and Josh, I've known him since we were in first grade. Yeah, first grade. He brought me into the league. When he brought me in, he was just like, "Yo, I'm going to play football," and I was like, "Oh, can I come here?" And actually, that was the year I joined because so I don't remember who dropped out, but that's
Ian Tully.
when
Ian Tully.
Yeah. Oh, it was Ian. All right. Yeah. No, Ian dropped out. He couldn't make it, and yeah, that's when I came in.
Was Josh always? You said you've known him since first grade. Was he always mentally retarded?
Yes, he's always been mentally retarded. I love the kid.
Yeah, of course. So you've won your first championship. I know it was, as we talked about, I know it took you a little longer than you expected, but not bad results. One championship in 3 years. But how do you continue this success? How do you stay where you are and maybe get another ring added to your resume?
Get another ring. I mean, really, I need the quarterback, but I mean, we have 3 great quarterbacks in the league right now,
It's true.
We got Frank, we got Renz, and we got Josh.
Yeah,
Dross.
great quarterbacks.
We got great quarterbacks, and I mean, I'm hoping next year, I get at least one of them on my team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, JJ, we appreciate your time. Hopefully, we're going to have you on this show again real soon. I want you to have a great day, brother, and congratulations on the ring.
Thank you.
I rep the BNB, a buck a 303, caliber Enfield Lee. I drive a small ass Ford, I want a big ass Chevy. I bring extension cords when gangsta shit get heavy. With my clan on the hunt, we ain't letting shit slide, so don't try giving.
All right, it's your boy Frankie Nuñez. We're back. We're going to break down what we saw on Saturday, the championship Saturday. We're going to start with Team Holmes, the Mothmen, and their quarterback, Lorenzo Labazetta, the former MVP. Lorenzo was good. He was not himself in terms of being great, but he was good. He really wanted to challenge deep. He did not take a lot of underneath stuff, which probably ended up costing him, but he did have a huge interception on defense. John Macca had 2 touchdown receptions. John Macca was great, ran crisp routes all day. He may have given a little too much cushion on defense, but you can't blame him when you're going up against guys like JJ. Matt King, the rookie. Matt King was phenomenal. Matt King, he has the touchdown reception. He plays solid defense. He got the ball in a couple of end arounds. I was impressed with Matt King. I was impressed with the defense. He did have a drop in the end zone, but he made up for it with that touchdown reception. Josh Paini only ends up having the 1 catch. It's a big catch. He got a couple swings too. He played well, Josh. Ultimately, this offense was fine, and they had an opportunity to make it a closer game than it was as they lost 5-3. But the defense struggled. They could not stop the Smokes' attack, and that's what ended up costing them. We'll move on to the neighborhood Roadies. The Roadies lose 5-3 to the Biltmore Drivers. Nick Del Monte, 4 catches and a TD reception. He played very well. He was supposed to be the starting quarterback, but had an arm injury. Hardcore Johnny was supposed to be the backup quarterback. He had a shoulder injury. They end up going with Ken Silver. Ken Silver throws 3 interceptions. He throws 3 touchdowns, but he also has the fumble, controversial play. Justin O'Shea was back to himself, 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. But ultimately, again, this team, you can't combat 4 turnovers. Plus, they have a turnover on down, so it ends up being 5 turnovers. It's really hard to win a game with 5 turnovers. But I do expect Nick Muse to get that cleaned up and to see the Roadies get back to where we know they can be. The Biltmore Drivers, they win their first round matchup again against the Roadies 5-3. Colin Tully, phenomenal, 4 passing touchdowns. James McDermott, one of the greatest stat lines of all time, 10 catches, 4 TD receptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in a single game. Unbelievable. The guy could have won MVP in a loss. He was that good. Ray Sullivan added 3 catches. Joe Labo added 3 catches. Ian Tully left the first game early with an apparent leg injury, which really hurt this team in the championship as they had a hard time matching up with the eventual champions, the Poospatuck Smokes, on the defensive end. And we'll talk about the Smokes now. Team Dan O'Shea had the big touchdown reception. Jesus, who got hurt, ends up coming back into the game with the game championship winning touchdown reception. Kevin McCarthy was huge. We'll talk about Kevin. 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, the interception. Kevin, he exceeded the hype. He had such a great preseason, and this was great to see him really, really shine. Nick Gerasi, 7 catches and an efficient 7 catches, as 4 of them were for touchdowns, but it was the defense from Gerasi that was huge. He was all over the field. JJ had the big day, 13 catches, 2 of them for touchdowns. He ends up having the sack of Lorenzo Lavazetta in game 1. JJ was everywhere. JJ was targeted on almost every single third down. He was that big for this team. And Frank Samisa, he ends up winning MVP with 10 passing touchdowns. Frank was great. He was decisive all day. Not his best game defensively, as it rarely ever is, but he was able to distribute the ball on offense and pilot this attack. All right, that was what we saw on Saturday. We've got Nick Gerasi coming up next. Stay with us.
What's up, guys? It's your good old Coach Holmes. Who doesn't love a delicious warm donut straight off the rack? Well, I have just the spot for you. Krispy Kreme Donut Shop. For over 60 years, Krispy Kreme has been delivering mouth-watering pastries that will make your senses tingle. My personal favorite, the original glaze, featuring a warm, fluffy, perfectly cooked dough surrounded by a crisp but still gooey icing. Actually, I'm going to have one right now. So where's Krispy Kreme? I do.
All right, we're back with the official LOL podcast. It's your boy, Frankie Nuñez. I'm here joined by newly crowned champion, Nick Gerasi. Gerasi, are you happy to be here?
Absolutely pumped to be here. Thank you for having me, Mr. Nuñez. It's quite the honor to be on a podcast with such a wonderful reporter.
Nick, it's your 3rd championship ring. Tell us a little bit about the journey to get here and what it means to you.
Yeah, I mean, it means everything. You know, it's an honor to be able to play at Legion Field. You know, not to say growing up we didn't do some questionable things in that field, but you know, now that we're older, I think it's nice that we do the right thing. We got a good group of guys, have the utmost respect for all the competitors, and to be able to come home with that championship meant the world. You know,
it's an efficient day for you. 7 catches and 4 of them were touchdowns. Why were you so locked in? What got you in the zone?
I think that the past few years, I think that I've proved my adaptability. You know, and I'm always a leader on the field. I think anyone can attest to that. But I really think that the past few years, I was really put in a position to play quarterback, which I can play.
Yeah.
But I think this year, being drafted where I was drafted in the 3rd round, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder to go in the 3rd round, and that's nothing, you know, against anybody who was taken before me. I think there's a lot of wonderful competitors in the league. But I think that just the faith that was put in me to play wide out, it really made me lock in. And I had to prove that I still had something to show, man. You know, I'm not old, but I'm not young. And I wanted to show that I had some left in the tank. And my teammates believed in me. And my quarterback threw me the ball. And I did what I had to do.
We just had JJ on. And obviously you and JJ have been on the same team for 3 years in a row. I asked him what it meant to be able to do it with you after these years of playing together. And I'm going to ask you the same question. What did it mean to be able to do it with this guy you've been on the team with for so long? And what role did he play in maybe the success you guys had together?
Oh, I mean, me and him together, I think the chemistry we've shown, whether it's me throwing in the ball or us running routes side by side or crossing, that we both have, I believe, a high football IQ, and it meant everything to win it with JJ. You know, I look at JJ as a younger brother. And to be out there, me wearing 89, him wearing 88, it was just like 2 peas in a pod, man. We were firing on all cylinders. So the answer is, it meant the world to me to win with my man JJ. He's a great man.
No disrespect to anybody out there, but you play for the Roadies for 2 seasons, and you go to Team Dan, and you know, you get it done. What was the main difference in Dan's coaching style that you think maybe opened things up for you and gave you the opportunity to win?
You know, I wouldn't, and not to say that Dan is an amazing coach and he did a great job, but I guess the way that I would approach that answer is that, you know, it was more the fact that I think our team was in sync. You know, I think that everybody who played their position brought everything they could to the table for that position, and everybody was able to kind of culminate together and do it together. I think that was the biggest difference. I think that we had everybody show up. I know that last year with the Roadies, we also had some attendance, but I just really think that this year it was just we were more locked in. That's really what I think the difference was. And once again, no disrespect to the Roadies.
Yeah, of course. So the last time you won a championship, it came as a wide receiver on a Frank Samisa-led team. This year you win a championship as a wide receiver on a Frank Samisa-led team. Just tell me a little bit about your relationship with Frank and how you and him work so well together, how you were able to get over the top.
Yeah, listen, man, it's always fun. Even when Frank and I aren't on the same team, we bump heads a lot in scrimmages. But you know what? It's all out of love. And I truly think that we believe in one another. We have a lot of love for one another. And I'll be the one to say it, man. I think I can throw the ball as a competent QB, but I'll tell you, there's no one better than Frank is throwing the ball. The way that he approaches the playbook, the way that he knows his receiver strengths, he knows how to read the defenses. I'm not surprised, man. I'm not surprised that I've won as a receiver on his team each time because he puts in the effort, and that shows, man. Truly shows.
So you moved into a tie for fourth place in all-time touchdowns with 24 touchdowns. Just tell me a little bit about what it feels like to know that you get to be talked about with names like Frank Samisa, Colin Tully, Justin O'Shea. You're right there with those guys.
Listen, man, these guys are all brothers of mine. I consider all these guys brothers. And the fact that I'm up there, I look up to them. And it means a lot to me, man. It means a lot to me.
Do you think that you'll be hearing the name Nick Gerasi in the Hall of Fame in the next couple months?
I sure as hell hope so, man. I sure as hell hope so. I've definitely put in the time and effort, stayed in shape and kind of kept my body under control listen, it's a big difference when you're running out there sprinting every play compared to throwing the football, like I was used to the past couple of years. So I definitely think so, man. I think that the results speak for themselves. Not to be a cocky bastard, but I think the results, honestly, truly reflect the effort.
When I spoke to Frank, despite the fact that you had 4 touchdowns, which is a big number, when I spoke to Frank after the game, he said he expected you to have a good day offensively, but he was blown away about the defense. Was that something you guys had talked about on draft night when you were selected, that he was taking you to be that top cornerback, or was that something you were a little bit surprised to have to be in that role?
So I honestly was honored, man. I honestly was honored because over the past few years, I have had some good defensive showings. I think, though, that once I learned that was going to be my role, the type of competitor and person I am, I really took that to heart. And I watched some tape, man. I watched some tape on some of the greats, and I really just kind of locked in. I would look at my, whoever I was covering, would look at their hips, see where they were moving, if it was going to be a fake move, maybe a double move or triple move. I just really took it to heart and did the best I could. And I mean, once again, I think it worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, it did. All right, so Nick Gerasi, a 3-time champion. You finished second in MVP voting this year. I think your case for Hall of Fame has strengthened. What would it mean to you to get in?
It would mean everything, man. The league last year, we had an award from my mother. That truly, this league is my family. And for me to be also a Hall of Famer in the league that I care so much about, it would mean everything, man. It'd be awesome.
All right, that's all the time we got for Gerasi. Gerasi, we thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can get you on again in the future, and we want you to have a great day. All right, buddy? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nuñez, and thank you to the wonderful camera crew you got out there. Be safe.
Pour it out. I won't stop till I fall and throw it up. I got a couple pills chilling in my gut. I'm feeling kind of nice, son. I want to smoke a blunt.
All right, welcome back to the official LOL podcast. It's your boy, Frankie Nuñez. I'm joined here by coach of the Biltmore Drivers, Colin Tully, former MVP. Colin, how happy are you to be here?
It's an honor to be here, Frankie. Glad to finally be here.
Colin, we're going to get straight into it. We're all business here. Obviously, just fell short of success, but tell me a little bit about what it was like to be able to play with your cousin James McDermott and see him put up such an unbelievably historic performance.
Yeah, kid's got talent, Knew that going in. That's why I worked so hard to try and bring him in. That's why I was so excited to take him on draft night, I honestly was – it was a question whether he was going to last past the round that I took him in, and I just made up my mind that I had to have him because I didn't know who I trusted in this league.
I know Frank Samisa was going to take him if you didn't take him.
Yep, we took him where I took him, and I was glad, James is a great player. I had a pleasure of seeing him play when he was young, and I knew he was going to come out big for us today.
I knew based on what you said that there was a good chance he was going to have that kind of offensive day. Obviously, he has 10 catches, 4 touchdowns, receiving 2 touchdowns, rushing. But was the defense surprising you? 3 interceptions is
yeah. No, he was a two-way
crazy.
player in high school. Kid's a ball hawk. I know that. And That's basically how we played it. We played a pretty strict man, but I told him that of all the people that, if he wanted to slip into a bit of a spy zone and do what he wanted to do, that he had the instincts that I trusted, and he made it happen.
Were you
really won the game for us there, pretty much, I would say.
Yeah.
As you said in previous segments, the turnover battle was probably the
huge
story of the day there.
I mean, were you guys all, no disrespect to Ken Silver, but were you guys all licking your chops a little bit when you found out he was going to be the starter? Did you know you were going to get those kind of chances at some jump balls?
You got to play the game. I wouldn't say licking our chops. We knew we were going to have chances. We knew they were good. We knew, there wasn't a lot of practice time on my end with my team. When I was able to make it to practice, both Ian and I, we had the pleasure and we got to practice with the roadies a little bit there.
Yeah.
And not that led to any, inside. I just knew that they were an aggressive team that was going to be looking to move the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to prepare for. And it worked out pretty well.
So between you, James, and Ian, you guys had the tough assignment of having to get matched up one-on-one with either Justin O'Shea or Nick Del Monte in that first-round matchup. And you guys held them in check for the most part. They end up having 3 catches, but it never ends up feeling that close. They never were able to get that tying score in towards the end there. What went into that defensive game plan, and how do you stop 2 players that good?
I said it going into draft night. I said it to my team multiple times. I drafted for defense, and I know that I believe when you put me and Ian Tully on the same team that you have 2 of the best isolation cover corners in the league right there, and that's what we were playing for. James was kind of an added bonus,
sure.
And I say it all the time. The defense wins championships in this league. So
tell me a little bit about, and obviously this goes back quite a bit, quite a few years back. But tell me a little bit about your relationship with Tyler McCarthy and how you were able to get him out of retirement to come back for the game. I know you guys have a little bit of a love affair. We love Tyler. We were happy to see him there. What does he mean to you, and how psyched were you to have him?
I'm a big McCarthy brother fan in general. I want to just give Dingo his before we go into. Talking Tyler up, I just want to, congratulate Dingo on his ring this year and
sure.
the outstanding performance that he brought to the league this year. And I knew that he was going to be a problem on the championship team the minute he was drafted. And Tyler is also the both of them. It runs in the family. They're good football players, those guys. I've found success with him on the field before. I expect success with him on the field in the future if I ever get to play with him again. Well, with COVID being what it was this year, we had some questions as to whether players were going to get back on the ready to perform list for us. And I just reached out to him about a week before game time, and he said
right away
he was ready to go. So, got the lawyers on the phone, worked up the hardship deal right there, and he turned up for us on game day. That was a factor. I'm forever grateful to Coach Shue for letting me work with the subs that I was allowed to work with. That was a little bit of an unfair advantage my team was given over everyone else. It was decided upon by the coaches ahead of time.
It ended up working out as you were down a man for the championship game. So we spoke a little bit about James on the field. Let's talk a little bit about James off the field, and I'm specifically talking about his actions on draft night. Tell me a little bit about the mischief that James got into on draft night.
I can't comment on much. I mean, I first of all wasn't there, and I've been advised by our team attorneys that anything that we are not being presented with a court document demanding answers, nothing has to be answered. There was no disappointment on my part for James. I wish he had made the practice the day after, but kid's a rookie. He gave me a big effort this season.
He did,
and he had a good night at draft night. And there were other people involved in the making of that.
In the making of murder.
Yeah, people will remain anonymous, but he wasn't alone.
Is Colin Tully going to go into next year as a quarterback, or are you leaving all options open? Because obviously you played pretty well. You had the 4 passing touchdowns. I know you fell short of where you wanted to be, but it's obvious now that you can get that done. Is that something you're looking to add to, or are you keeping all doors open?
I guess it's just got to be all doors open, right?
Yeah.
It's basically the answer to that. I don't know. I am someone that doesn't like being removed from route running duties. I like running my routes.
Of course.
I see it as a science. I give 110% on every route I run, and I miss it when I'm playing quarterback, but I like drawing routes when you're playing quarterback. So it's just a different way to look at the same problem, I feel like. I don't believe that I'm the best quarterback in this league. So were there a chance to get someone that I evaluate as a better quarterback than me, that's not something that my pride or ego would ever stand in the way of.
Yeah.
But I think that if you're going to find success in this league as a team leader, you have to be ready to step in and throw that. But we saw 2 quarterbacks go down in the team that I got to play in the first round.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. My team suffered injuries. Injuries happen.
Big part of the game this year.
Yep.
And more so affected this year by injuries than any other year we've ever seen. Obviously, Ian goes down. Jesus goes down at some point. James McDermott's walking around with a limp towards the second half. We don't need to talk about the Roadies quarterback situation. We've already addressed it. Injuries were such a big part of the season this year. It's unfortunate, but it's a big part of the game. Tell me, before I let you go, what the main difference was between last year's championship team Tully and this year's team that just fell short.
Injuries really hurt us.
Yeah.
And there was just,
Did the team miss Nick Del Monte or Frank Samisa? Not that you didn't
for sure.
replace them.
Those are irreplaceable players. You always Nick Del Monte is an MVP last year, Frank Samisa an MVP this year. Look, the guy's name's on this trophy a lot.
Yeah.
He brings a playbook. He brings a culture with him when he goes. I tried to, I wouldn't say duplicate. I tried to learn from that, take in what I could, and present my own version of that. And I obviously fell short. And, and that's on me,
We expect to see you back there next year. What should we expect at a Team Tully moving into next year? Not just on the field, but in terms of draft night strategy. What have you learned from this year that you'll take going into next year?
I don't think I'm going to change my approach at all. I'm someone I draft for speed and defense, and I think I did that to the best of my ability last year. And I don't know. I think the guys I brought to the field last Saturday was a championship team that just didn't have its day. So I don't think I got to change too much up.
I totally agree.
Yep.
We saw a dedicated performance out of Joe Labo, who you had, obviously on the championship team last year.
Guy's a staple in the league.
Yeah, Joe Labo's one of the greatest. He's one of the best winners in the league. Do you have any message for your teammates in closing here? Anything you want to tell them? Anything you're specifically proud of from those guys?
I'm just proud of the effort that everyone brought to that field on Saturday. I think everyone at that field, from my side that I saw, can say that they played above average for themselves. I think that they really gave their A game, and I appreciated that.
Couldn't agree more. All right, everybody, that's Colin Tully. We're happy to have you on, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you.
Using your complexes is lies. Why try if I can't be taking it back to basics? I thrive, go and fake it and act complacent.